Hey, Redmen Originals podcast time with me, Paul Machin, with that man right there, Chris Pajak, with that woman right there, Chloe Bloxham, with that other man right there, Dan Club. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. The Cap crew on the opposite couch. Just going to paint a picture for our podcast listeners. Dan's got a cap on and Chloe's got a cap on. Can you picture it? Wow, vivid.
Wild.
Vivid. Yeah, they look it's a bit moody going on over there, to be honest. Like, yeah.
I'm living life.
You just look like you would hang outside the offie by ours with your bike on the floor.
We do that.
Yeah, leaning against the wall.
Asking
Spitting.
people to buy us ale when they go in.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Bit more Chloe than you, to be fair. You'd be the person everyone would be asking to buy the ale to go in.
Since I was about 15, people were asking me about that, to be honest with you.
Right, Sal. With the guys present. And, of course, with anyone watching live with us on YouTube right now, we're going to be going through the big topics of the week. That just was. Obviously, Liverpool beating Bournemouth by 4-0. Will be central to that in the first part. In the second part, we're going to talk about Mohamed Salah's return from AFCON. Yay, but also he's injured. Boo. And then look ahead to Liverpool versus Fulham in the second leg of the League Cup semi-final as well. So before we do dive into that, I just want to draw your attention to the fact that tickets are on sale for the third leg of our live show tour. We are going to be in London on the 24th of April. Indigo at the O2, the Millennium Dome for all of the people who were around at that time, not Chloe, as we discovered last week. You can go to axs.com and just type in Redmen on there and you'll find the tickets. We've got Keo with us as well.
Am I right in saying we're having a month to recover from the 2 nights in Ireland? It sounds about right, doesn't it?
So yeah, Belfast, Dublin, month, London.
Have we timed it with St. Paddy's Day in Ireland?
No. I don't think so.
That rings a bell.
When is it? It's March, isn't it? Paddy's
Definitely
Day.
March, yeah. Does ring a bell. Maybe not. I don't think it.
Imagine if we'd done
I don't
that.
think it's on Paddy's Day.
Brilliant.
I don't think it's on. But
St. Patrick's Day is on the 17th, so a week later we rock up. So no. So people will have a week to recover from St. Patrick's Day before they basically come and get pissed with Chris, which might be the subtitle of the show, if we're being honest. So yeah, tickets available for all 3 of those. You can get the tickets to either of the Irish ones through ticketmaster.ie and go to axs.com and search for it to get the Indigo at the O2 ones as well. Get involved. As I say, Keo's with us, which I don't think I've made enough of a deal about. Keo's very, 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 very good. He is basically the big dog when it comes to Liverpool song scene at the moment. So we've got him, we've tied him down, and we're going to untie him so we can play some songs. He's on loan. Yeah, it should be really good. Get involved. Right, that's enough of that for the moment. More stuff to tell you about later on, but yes, let's talk about the game. I'll start with Chloe, actually, because I haven't spoken to her about this match as yet. Just felt like a real potential banana skin there, Chloe. I don't know how you felt going into the game, but it bore all the hallmarks to me of a game that we just draw. And then you go, okay, well, it wasn't the worst possible result, difficult place to go, informed team, but that gap to us in Arsenal and City is starting to get whittled away. And as it was, the Reds just demolished them. Yeah,
going into it, they're a team informed under a really boss manager, to be honest. You know, you've got Tom Solanke, ex-Red, really tearing it up in the Premier League, and we knew it was going to be a tough game. And I think it was for the first 45. I think it was quite flat from a Liverpool perspective. We couldn't quite get hold of the ball and get up the pitch. And they put us under pressure in the first 5 minutes from a couple of corners where it was right by our end, and maybe that's why we were a little bit more worried, because it was right in front of us. But I said before the game, we played them last year and we know exactly how that went, but we're going there with a different mentality and with new additions, and we're at the top of the table. It is an entirely different feeling around this game of football. So I was going there positive, and I just thought, win by any means. And what a way did we win, though, because that second half they couldn't get near us. We came out with a desire and just a want to really go and put them to the sword, and the finishing was unbelievable. And they were all right by our end as well, which made it even better. So yeah, a boss away day. The wind was horrific, the weather was horrific, but the Reds love to show up against Bournemouth away from home this season.
I'm going to read some stats here and try not to make it horrendously dry. Bournemouth 5 shots, 2 on target. Liverpool 15 shots, 6 on target. Bournemouth 30% possession. Liverpool 70% possession. Score Bournemouth 1, Liverpool 0. This time around, Bournemouth 11 shots, 1 on target. Liverpool 14, 7 on target, 39%, 61%. Bournemouth 0, Liverpool 4, Dan. Yes, a wildly different performance from Liverpool from this one compared to the last time we went there in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly second half, as Chloe references there. I just felt like we were completely at it. And it would have been... I think anyone would have took any form of win in that game, really. Certainly the way it panned out for the first 45 minutes, you're just taking a 1-0 Virgil van Dijk, Ibra Konate header or whatever it looked like. But for Liverpool to turn on the style in the way that we did second half and to be that clinical, it was absolutely outstanding to watch, to be honest. And it was chalk and cheese from that game last season. I don't think Bournemouth felt like they gave everything they possibly could in the opening 15 minutes, potentially. And when they didn't get the breakthrough, when they had the wind beneath the sails and the home crowd possibly could have been in their advantage, when that didn't happen, it felt like they went, oh, these are really good, you know. And all of a sudden, we grew in confidence. We started to get on the front foot and stuff like that. And as I say, second half, we were absolutely incredible. Some of the football we played in what was very difficult circumstances against a very good side was a joy to watch. And I think, as I mentioned, that the clinical nature of the goals is what really sets us apart from most teams in this league, to be honest, not just Bournemouth. They had moments in that game, but they don't have the attacking prowess that we have. We've got lads there, and Nunez not necessarily all the time, not exclusively, but Diogo Jota in particular, that when the moment comes, they're just killers. He is an absolute killer, and whilst we haven't got Mohamed Salah, it's massive that those type of players step up, and they did it brilliantly.
Yeah, we'll swing back around to Diogo because I want to have a good old chat about him, but let's just do the weekly Darwin chat, Chris. I think the point we made about a few weeks ago was it's all well and good him not scoring the goals because he's providing them, and when Salah's there to score the goals, then it kind of doesn't really matter. The obvious question mark arose was, well, what happens when Salah's not there? And it was going to be an interesting test to see how Darwin kind of fared without Mo alongside him. Well, yeah, if he's going to score 2 goals and 2 goals like that in football matches, then, yeah, things are going to start to seem a little bit rosier in general from him. That's 10 goals, 10 assists in all comps. They're really good numbers for a forward. They're probably not great goal-scoring numbers still from a pure number 9 sense, but I mean, it's the
first time I think in the Premier League, certainly, that he's just averaging more than a goal every 2 games for Liverpool. I think he's up to about 0.52 per 90 at the moment, Darwin.
Premier League or all comps, only.
Premier League.
Yeah.
And that's obviously massive, isn't it? You know, we talk about Diogo Jota. He's been a 1-in-2 forward for us from the moment he walked through the door. Mm-hmm. For 4 seasons, he's averaged over 0.5. Now it's got up to 0.7 in his first season, I think it was. I think it's around a similar mark now. But in the other 2 years, it was still over 0.5. Whereas last year, Darwin was still under 0.5, so just slightly less than a 1-in-2. And when you spend that much money, there is going to be a focus on the fella and how many goals he scores. I mean, ultimately, he's actually got 11 if you count the Community Shield and all that type of stuff. But you know, I think it's 2 in the Europa League, maybe 1 in the... It might be 2 in the Carabao, 1 in the Cups. 3 in the Cups, isn't it? I think so far this season that he's got. But now you can see it's almost equal in goals and assists in the Premier League, and it's all well and good. I've been sort of thinking about this for a while. It's like 10 goals and 10 assists. Yeah, but what's he doing in the fucking league where it really matters and you play in the tough competition? And he's got that record where you want to see it at the moment, and that's the important part for me, rather than the all-comp stuff. But the finishes last night were brilliant, and I think, to be fair to Darwin, and I have been critical of him, I think over the last 5 weeks, he's been absolutely superb, and the goals that he hasn't scored weren't actually his fault, whereas earlier on in the season the goals that he wasn't scoring were totally his fault. You know, big misses, that's gone. It's been great goalkeeper saves since then, and you know, right now I think it's probably 2 goals and 2 assists in his last 4 for us. So he's really firing on all cylinders at the moment, isn't he? And that's what you want to see. And I think generally speaking that this has been Klopp's best year in terms of probably his coaching and his management of the squad so far this season. And I class that against a Premier League winning side and a European Cup winning side. I think what he's done this season steps himself ahead of what he's done previously. We'll obviously see in the fullness of time whether he's able to do it over the course of a season. But the job that he's had in managing Nunez and just putting him on that left-hand side and getting in positions where he's a little bit more comfortable shooting from is some of Klopp's best work.
Yeah, it just helps, doesn't it, Chloe? Because Liverpool's players often do things in unusual ways. So, like, we've spent years defending Trent as a right back because he's not an archetypal right back, and we've spent years doing a variety. Mo Salah being a good one because at times you never pass the eyeball test as the clinical finisher that he clearly is. But with Darwin, it helps when he just scores goals because it just means there's just no need to go to bat to defend him. Our centre forward played well and took 2 goals really, really well. So, yeah, great. We can kind of just don't have to worry about defending him for a week. He's defended himself.
Yeah, and that's what you need your strikers to do. You need them to silence the critics. And like you mentioned there, he's been brilliant the last couple of weeks. And I think when we all sit here and we talk about him and we do criticise him at times, it's because we can see the potential. It's because we can see how many chances he gets. And if he just slots even half of them, Liverpool can become unstoppable. Because imagine where we are right now, and imagine if we did have that Darwin Nunez who's scoring those 2 massive chances every game that he gets. And one of them, to me, is not a massive chance. The ball by Joe Gomez is sensational, but that finish is still brilliant. He's still got a lot of work to do there. The run is brilliant as well. So I think that's why we criticise him a lot. It's because, we've always had great number 9s at Liverpool, but also it's because you can see how good of a player he is in there. It's just making sure that he's calm in those moments and slots them, and that's what he does for the first one. It's like he doesn't need to think about where he's putting it. He knows exactly. He's running onto the ball, and it's a smart finish, and you can see how much the goals mean to him, how much it means to kind of push away all the critics. With his celebrations after he scores, it seems like everyone's completely made up for him when he does score. I didn't see anyone else, like for Jota's goals and that, everyone was just a bit calm. With Darwin Nunez, it was a bit like, oh my God, it's Darwin. So yeah, I'm happy that he's, shutting up the critics, including all of ourselves who are Liverpool fans, who look at him and think we need a number 9 who scores more. And yeah, I'm enjoying the Darwin Nunez, reign right now, and hopefully it will continue because who knows how long Mo Salah's out for, and he can step up.
I thought it was just interesting. Klopp pre-match, I think Dan was talking about it. Like, he was just downplaying a lot of it, really. Yeah. No, I think all of our players are good lads. They're all good footballers and sometimes good footballers. You just need to let them get on with it, and Chris mentioned it. They've obviously done a few bits and pieces. There's been some tactical shifts. We've seen them utilised from the left. It's been much more fluid in terms of where the attackers have been positioned. Mm-hmm. But by and large, it sounds like they're not doing loads of. They're not because the more a big deal you make of it, the more likely it is to be a big deal. I think in those kind of situations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it was getting on his own nerves, his lack of goals as well. I think I referenced it last week after the Fulham game when he essentially said it's just not going in for me. It doesn't really matter what I'm doing right now, which kind of speaks to what Chris was saying. He wasn't doing a lot wrong for the past few weeks for just whatever reason. The ball wasn't hitting the back of the net, and he's kind of just continued on that trend. And thankfully, on this occasion, the ball has found the back of the net. I think positionally it's interesting where his 2 goals come from as well, just left the centre, the sort of centre area. That feels like a much more natural finish for Darwin Nunez, the way he plays the game, and the fact that both relatively instinctive. He hasn't got a great deal of time to think about what he's doing. I think that is a plus point as well, because he definitely suits those types of finishes.
Can I just jump in here, because I had a sort of theory about yesterday, and it's a theory just sort of in general about Nunez and why he's caught offside so often. Is you see him, he's put his arm up in the air and Joe Gomez plays the ball dead quick. He's already looking up when it's coming to him. You think about the other goal, it's a chest down and a pass from Kurt Jones, and it's a first time pass from Jota. Now, I think sometimes we've been guilty of overworking it, taking a touch for no reason, but Darwin wants to get on straight away. Now, those 2 early balls in, and Darwin's perfectly online for both things. And it might just be that the team's getting a bit more used to him now after 18 months and when he wants the delivery. And that is earlier the better for Darwin Nunez, because he's going as soon as he sees a chance.
But that's the beauty of Diogo Jota in that circumstance, isn't it? Because he doesn't have to take a touch to think about what's going on around him. He's such an intelligent footballer. He himself, he knows how he'd like that pass to be delivered to him, so he can deliver it perfectly for Darwin Nunez in the same way, which is a fascinating sort of insight into how those 2 work together, because we've seen Nunez and Salah link up so well, which has been part of the reason why Nunez has had such a prolonged run in the side, even when he hasn't been banging in the goals. If you're playing well with Salah, you've got yourself half a chance. But I think on the Klopp stuff, it's interesting. Klopp's never likely to sort of come out and criticise. He spoke about Diaz as well in a very similar sort of vein. But I think the Nunez one, it feels to me like we as fans and rival fans in particular can be quite critical of him, and he can frustrate the life out of you, of course he can. He feels like he's a bit of a player's player, by which I mean players will understand just how much he brings to the game. If you're a teammate of his, you know what he's doing for you and you know how influential he can be. Likewise, Jurgen Klopp knows how important he is to the side, and opponents hate playing against him. So from a rival or a fan base point of view, you go, God, he frustrates me, because you're not down there playing 90 minutes with him. If you're on the pitch, you know exactly what he's bringing to the game.
It's also, didn't James Milner come out after he moved to Brighton, and when he was asked who has the most talent in the squad, he literally said Darwin Nunez.
So
he said, I've never seen anyone with more raw talent than Darwin Nunez, and they get to see it in training every day. We don't get to see the finishes that, you know, we probably all think he should be putting away, which he does 9 times out of 10 in training. So yeah, but he feels very much like a confidence player, and when his confidence is at high, like even when he was on that left wing, he put 2 really decent balls that were just a little bit too high, or there was no one at the back post. I think
or the right back misses a big header.
Yeah, Conor Bradley also had one back stick. I don't know who put it in for him in the second half, but he was beating the man and he was so full on confidence, and there's been times where he's lacked that confidence and it's like he doesn't know what way to go, he doesn't exactly know what he's doing, but when he's got the confidence and he's always got the support of the fans, he turns into a real positive player. And yeah, I think he is something special, and let's hope he continues to show it.
Confident strikers take things early, I think.
Yes.
And, you know, and I think that was what he was doing when he first came into the side. The one that always sticks with me is the one in the Merseyside derby where it's like on a half volley and he goes across Pickford. It's an unbelievable save. It's one of them where if it goes in, it's one of the great finishes, but it doesn't. And then after a while, you know, like Rooney was very good at this. You know, he just takes shots on. And you catch the keeper a little bit cold. Jamie Vardy, absolutely excellent at it. Don't take that extra touch. You know, okay, there's a logic that says the closer I am to goal, and like XG will tell you this, or you know, there's the maximum, best possible shooting angles and locations or whatever. Yeah, but sometimes actually it's weirdly better to take it from 5 or 10 yards outside the 18-yard box, because the goalie's still backpedaling. Yeah. We saw one the other day with Emi Martinez turns his back up to play, to sprint back towards his own goal, and there's a little part he goes, just hit it, mate. You know what I mean? Just he's not looking. just shoot. And you can catch those kind of moments out, and yeah, I think confidence breeds those kind of situations. You're right, when you're trying to make it as sure for yourself as you possibly can, and maybe that Liverpool's team have been guilty of that across the board. I just want to read a couple of super chats before we move on to another topic. Veronica kicked us off early doors and just sent a £5 and said, thank you for your great videos. Well, that's just lovely, isn't it? That's a real brightener on a Monday afternoon, that. Andrew Morrison said, Klopp recognised Nunez finishes better coming in from the wing, and that and his in-game subs and tactical changes have been crucial. Nunez can be crucial. Yeah, I agree with that. It's good. But a lot of it just boils down to just get between the width of the posts and get on the end of stuff in there, and you're more likely to score goals. I know Darwin's blazed some stuff from there too, but keeps coming back to it. Chris, just on the XG stuff, my general feeling on this is, and I don't know whether this is borne out in whether this is true or not, you know, if you're underperforming your XG, it's just not the worst thing in the world, because it says you're getting into positions where you're likely to be scoring goals. Whereas if you're wildly overperforming your XG, it always feels like that's something that's never feels as sustainable when you're overperforming it in some way.
Yeah, I mean, there are different opinions from different people that I've spoken to. Obviously, you're getting into good positions. That's and the team are finding you in those positions. That's obviously true. But there are players who consistently underperform and still score loads of goals. Darwin Nunez, bar one season at Benfica where he scored however many it was it something like 38 and 36 for them, has underperformed his XG. He's not performing any worse than in any of the 4 or 5 years there's data on him. He's just had one complete outlier of a season where everything he touched went in. Equally, it's the other way around. When you look at Salah over the seasons, Salah consistently performs better than his XG, and has had one season where he didn't. And this is my big problem with XG, is you are comparing it to an average player. Lionel Messi is always going to score more than an average footballer does.
Yeah.
Because he's a better player.
Yeah.
Alisson Becker is always going to save more than an average goalkeeper because he's the best goalkeeper in the world. When you do look at the XG, you've kind of got to consider that. It might just be that Darwin's not a good finisher. That's fine.
Yeah.
As long as he scores goals, it's okay. But the thing is, he was underperforming his XG and we were losing points because of it. And that's where you've got the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now he's not, and now there's no problem.
Well, it's funny because I said on a show last night post-match, Mane wasn't a great finisher. He gets remembered because he did score some great finishes.
That last season he was a great finisher, but before that, you're absolutely right.
I always think of I mentioned the Napoli game in 1819. We should be over the hill and far away in that game, but Mane misses chance after chance after chance, and then ultimately it's squeaky bum time right at the end with Alisson making a save in a game that should have been done. But you take the rough with the smooth with these players. Sometimes we'll come on to someone who maybe has got more clinical finishing when we talk about Diogo in a minute, but I do want to talk Conor Bradley before then, Chloe, and it's just he was class. I really did. Every minute he plays for us, and look, it's still a small sample size. Let's be clear on this, but he's getting stronger as games go on as well. It's not like he's just keeping his head above water, and then he's getting late in the game, and then there was things in that second half, and it was pivotal to Liverpool continue their dominance. He's running 20, 30 yards up the pitch and getting his foot in ahead of their men and kickstarting counter-attacks. I just thought he was great.
Yeah, he's been superb when he's been called upon. I absolutely love how much he backs himself, no matter who he's up against. When obviously we did the little huddle before kick-off, he comes over to our side because he's playing on the right, and the reception he gets and he gives us it back. He looks at us, he gives it a little bit, and you can just tell he knows what it means to play for us. He's loving it, and he was superb once again. Defensively, he was really solid. Ibu Konate played phenomenally as well, which that's crucial, being on that right hand side with a youngster. But going forward, does he get the assist for Jota?
Yeah,
does that officially count? Because what
Does it?
ball?
No, I gave it to Jota.
You can't assist yourself.
You can. He did.
Either way,
I'll give it him,
either way.
He asked. You've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's boss.
Well, Conor Bradley's ball first time, by the way, to Jota.
Maybe we should give the assist to the Bournemouth fans.
Maybe, yeah.
Whey!
Yeah.
I watched it back. Oh, it's so
Seen
funny.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it last night.
They weigh when he misses the first one. So he misses it and they all go, way! And then he slots it in the back of the net.
They haven't learned, have they? They haven't learned them.
Roy Hodgson.
Yeah. But yeah, back to Conor Bradley on the front foot, stepping in, reads the game really well. That's why he's so good at stepping in front of the man and winning the ball first. And he starts counter-attacks. He starts the high press from the ball up the pitch. And yeah, he looks shattered all the time, pretty much in the second half. But yeah, he just gets every ounce out of himself. And yeah, what a superb performance. What can you say? He's a young lad who stepped in for Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah.
And it's of course we miss Trent, but it's not like anyone stood there thinking we need him back in that position straight away.
Yeah.
It's he's just mopping up when needed.
I'll come to you in a second, Dan, but just some comments on this from YouTube. Liam Benton with the super chat says, shout out Conor Bradley, already with more Premier League assists than Anthony.
Okay, yeah, he has to. I take the assist off Diogo Jota and give it to Bradley now.
Much like Anthony, going to spin on that. And come back.
Yeah, 4 times.
Josh Owens says, Bradley was outstanding, could definitely play him against the bottom half teams and get Trent in midfield.
There you go.
And Richard
That's maybe what I was alluding to.
Says, love Conor Bradley, long may it continue. But it goes to show that obviously we all have our concerns at the end of every summer transfer window of have we got enough in certain positions? And I felt at the time it was a little skewed by the injuries to Conor Bradley, and it's hard to kind of go to the wall to say we're all right because we've got Conor Bradley, who is a lad who'd done a season on loan at Bolton and currently had a back injury, and you're thinking, okay, well, yeah, that wasn't one that it wasn't a hill I was going to die on in a big way in the summer, but it did show a little bit. We've seen it now with Bobby Clark coming back as well, and obviously Gerard Quansah's the headline example of this, that there's some absolutely stellar depth at the football club. Even Owen Beck comes on and looks quite lively at the back end of the game, that perhaps our squad depth is a little better than maybe we'd feared, you know, in the depths of misery in the summer.
Yeah, 100% it is, and I think we owe a lot to the academy and their pathway for that, to be honest with you. I think it's been an absolute revelation, certainly this season. Jurgen Klopp's use of these lads and the development has been outstanding as well. I think the bench and the kids have really sort of served us well at times this season so far, and it's been nice to have Europa League to fall back on and allow them to get some minutes and some first team exposure too. But yeah, I think as for Conor Bradley, yet another outstanding performance. I think he was helped by Konate alongside him, who was brilliant as well, but I think even Harvey Elliott sort of getting back and helping double up on his man, and likewise Curtis Jones and Joe Gomez on the other side. I think that as a defensive unit, it was a really good performance yesterday, because Bournemouth had moments but just kept getting shut down essentially by those lads I'm talking about. But yeah, I think Conor Bradley is just another example of Liverpool's academy getting it right. And you mentioned the loan move. It's no great surprise to me that what we're talking about in terms of Brad, defensively solid, puts every single ounce of effort in, but from an attacking point of view and his reading of the game, that stems from having a very attacking influence. He was player of the season last year at Bolton, won a trophy, and he was essentially playing as a right winger for a lot of that. So he likes to get forward. He's not shy about getting forward, which suits this Liverpool side absolutely perfectly.
The Europa League thing's interesting because in Quanta as an example, it's a great sort of proving ground for some of these players, but Bradley hasn't benefited from that at all, Chris, because he's been injured.
He missed them all, he was injured.
So he's just come in, he comes off the bench in the FA Cup against Arsenal, plays the full 90, looks dead on his feet against Fulham, and then he's had a little winter break and he's come back, and it's just really encouraging. And I thought the commentary was interesting. It's still early, very early to be unequivocally saying this, but if he plays like this and he can play at this level and more, then I do think it facilitates a conversation around what you do with Trent, because if you can trust someone to play that job, and look, don't bear in mind, when Andy Robertson's back, Gomez will go back into that equation as well, but that does help, because if he's good enough and Gomez can do that and we've got left backs, then you don't need Trent to be a right back.
Well, yeah, but ultimately, let's not forget that Gomez might get himself back into the centre-half equation as well as being the right back cover. But before I sort of answer that, I just want to sort of talk on something what Dan was saying there, because I think when you think of the impact that Bajcetic had last season coming in through the academy, Kwanzaa this season as well, Conor Bradley, Kurt Jones, Harvey Elliott, let's not forget these are essentially academy products as well. This is something where when you see Conor Bradley and the performances that he's put down, you understand he's been at the football club for near 5 years. Yeah. And he's watched Trent play right back for near 5 years. So he understands what Liverpool want from a right back, and it's everyone throughout the club and the pyramid of the club pulling in the same direction, wanting the same things from these players. Because Harvey Elliott and Kurt Jones are absolutely super. They understand what everybody needs around them. And Harvey Elliott, you referenced it, back helping out Conor Bradley. So there is a real sort of uptick in the form of the players. Think of that run that Owen Beck has late on, where he drives into the middle. That's as Andy Robertson a run from left back as you're going to see from anyone not named Andy Robertson. Yes. But it was exactly what he did. You know, Bobby Clark, bang down the wing, running at one point and then keeping the ball and stuff. So these academy lads know what Liverpool want from their players, and Klopp's doing a brilliant job in giving them those opportunities. And, you know, Bradley now, I think it's too soon to be talking about Trent in midfield because of him, especially when we do have the options in midfield. But my words, like next season, I'm probably not looking to loan him out. That's already what I'm thinking about. Yeah. Why would you want to loan him out?
Well, it changes the dynamic of what your transfer approach is, Chloe, because you know we've talked about the six positions, and you know Mac Allister has a really good game. We'll talk about him next. And those really started to flourish prior to going to the Asia Cup. And obviously we looked at like how do you solve certain problems in the squad. Well, look, the ideal will, and it's not a sexy solution, because the sexy solution is to go out and spend loads of money on footballers. But actually, if you've got a really good right backs in your squad, and you've got really good people who can be moved to play in the six, then, well, yeah, maybe we can spend some of that money on some more fanciful players, you know, more attackers or whatever else. It just gives Liverpool more breathing room, more freedom of choice of what they do next.
Yeah, it does, and it also means, you know, that extra, you know, 10-15 mil that you had to spend on a potential new right back, new DM, that can now be put in a pot for the centre-back that you've been chasing. And that's the big thing. There are other areas in this squad which are much more needed to look at. You know, we've been going on about left-sided, left-footed centre-halves. And there's other, you know, there might be a situation with Luis Diaz again where there's another player where Jurgen Klopp wants him and he's liked him for ages. And it might not be the player we need right now, but it might be the player we need in a year or a year and a half. And you kind of want that person to have the breathing space, and someone else might try and take them, and it just means we've got the money there in the bank to go and do that. So yeah, these academy players coming through and being at the moment good squad footballers and potentially in the future being our number ones in a starting 11, it only breeds more excitement for Liverpool, because not just have we got these talents, it also means we've got extra funds that we would have had to spend on them to go and really go and develop and target the areas that we really want to improve on most.
Yeah, and we've done it with Nico Williams.
Yeah.
We brought him through essentially, didn't we? And then we got good money for him. We didn't want to sit behind Trent. You might not get a chance where Trent might be the right back for the next 10 years and Conor Bradley moves on, but if it fills the coffers up and there's another lad in the line who can take the number 2 spot, we don't want to be spending 12 million on Kostas Tsimikas to sit behind Andy Robertson. And, I think now the academy's got the players where you don't need to spend 12 million on Kostas.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to that persistent point of don't buy squad players, buy players who are better than your first 11, because your youth players should be your squad players. That's what, or the players who've been pushed down the pecking order by better. What it does, Dan, is that Conor Bradley potentially just eases the pressure on Joe Gomez, because I think this is the issue we've had. We know what his injury problems have been over the years. We know what the injury problems of Konate have been over the years. Matip's already ruled out for the rest of the season, if not, beyond, certainly, obviously with his contract coming up. Bradley there just means that, we don't need, it's not, because we've got depth, but our depth is a little bit sort of Damocles-y hanging by the thread of Gomez's fitness, because he's so versatile. Bradley just means that, we can afford to go. There'll be games where we don't have to play Joe Gomez, is kind of what I'm
No, absolutely, mate, yeah, and one of them could be coming up on the weekend, maybe not in midweek necessarily, but the Norwich game might look a little bit like that. But you're like, essentially our depth goes as far as Joe Gomez, in so much as he's the right back cover, the centre back cover and the left back cover. So Conor Bradley eases the burden substantially on Joe Gomez, or our use of Joe Gomez, which is massive, because as Cliff references before, there could come a time in the coming weeks whereby we might need Gomez to do a little stint at centre half, if he knows what that looks like anymore, by the way. It feels like forever since I've seen him play centre back. But Conor Bradley's emergence, and what's another interesting point on this is we signed a lad a little bit older than Conor Bradley, who felt like he was going to be the number 2 in Calvin Ramsey, and Conor Bradley has usurped Calvin Ramsey now in this pecking order for me, and his performances warrant that, and what happens with Ramsey next remains to be seen, really, but credit to Bradley for that in the first instance. And just to finish on the academy as well, if what I seen on Saturday night is anything to go by, Liverpool's academy is in a very good state of play, because we absolutely demolished Arsenal 7-1, and Jadon Dans, Lewis Kumas, Trent Cohn-Doherty, Trey and Yoni as well, by the way, 16, my God. We are in good, safe hands for a while yet.
Amazing. What do you think of Conor Bradley? Let us know in the comments underneath. Very, very exciting start, certainly this season. Right, let's move on. Just briefly, really, before we talk Mac Allister and Diogo. Ibu and Verge, Chris.
Aura.
That video. That video.
Bang Allister in there as well, Aura FC at the back. I still have my slight issues over Konate's just general play with the ball at his feet, but in games like that, when Verge is being imperious Virgil van Dijk, and you want someone next to him who's just going to go and snuff stuff out, it was a perfect pairing.
It really was, and me and him were talking last night on the instant match reaction. I think Konate's in the best form that he's been in at Liverpool at the moment, and I was sort of saying, me and Dan were talking about it again, is that quite often having someone to push you makes you better, but actually losing Matip, I think, has kicked Konate on even more. He's sort of, now he's maybe got that freedom to just sort of, I know I'm the centre half, and he's just playing a bit smarter, and he looks so strong. I mean, the block tackle from Solanke, where he came from absolutely nowhere, is pivotal in us getting a clean sheet. And I think, for when you've got 2 centre halves and you've got a goalkeeper and you've got a DM who put in performances, it's not really a surprise that you've got a clean sheet there. And I think last night, Alisson didn't really have to do too much, but the 3 in front of him, right in front of him, and the 2 centre halves and Mac Allister were excellent. And that pairing just seems to be working. And Van Dijk struggling a little bit in terms of the ball at his feet. He doesn't have his out ball to Mo Salah. Konate's been excellent at moving the ball through the lines for us, and Mac Allister equally last night, bright spot in the first half, just sort of improving week on week. So the 3 of them are playing games together, and they seem to have an understanding of what's going on.
It just gives you a greater level of assurance, doesn't it, Chloe, that Van Dijk back to his best, and then when Konate's doing that alongside them, I just don't know what type of forward is getting the better of them, because there's no one faster, there's no one really taller, there's no one stronger. And then you're looking at like, well, how's your willpower? Well, good luck, because you're not beating them two with that either.
I go back to when he first came in and I saw him play and I thought, my God, we've got an unbelievable centre-half. And everyone was like, you know, maybe he's the next Virgin sense of what he does. And then I watched him in the final where we sadly lost the Champions League. But in that final, he was immense. He was better than Virgil van Dijk against Real Madrid. Vinicius Junior, one of the best wingers on the planet, he just shut him down pretty much. And he did that single-handedly. Obviously, the goal we do concede is a bit crap. But Konate in that was one of the star players. He was the man of the match. And since then, he's had his, you know, good spells, bad spells, injuries, which have you know, disrupted his rhythm. But when he's in rhythm, you can clearly see what a footballer is. He's unbelievable as a centre-half. And like you said there, he might not be the best with the ball at his feet, but he's 22, is he not?
He's really good with the ball at his feet.
Well, passing between the lines.
I thought some of his passing was wonderful yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, I must admit.
The difference with when I look at Matip, it's the stepping up and it's going on the runs. You know, Konate's not quite going to do that. He's had little moments where he kind of does that, but he's not going to do it to the level that Joel Matip's going to do it. But I just
Does
think...
he do it better than Virgil? I think he does.
Which?
In terms of stepping up with the ball.
I think Virgil's on his left foot. Like, it's his weaker foot when he
No,
does
he
it.
does it better than
He just
Virgil.
looks really fucking uncomfortable when he's asked to run with the ball.
I think Virgil looks a bit awkward because of the left footed thing.
left
He ends up
foot.
kind of just shoehorning one down the line. He needs to get rid ultimately because he gets put under pressure.
Yeah, I just think he takes offence at having to accelerate.
Yeah.
Maybe that.
Maybe.
You're making me run.
When
Idiot.
Konate feels like he doesn't have to accelerate. But the thing I love about Konate was, even in that game, there was a couple of chances where they'd just gone, you know, we'd pushed Bradley up and just because of his positioning, there was an outball down their left-hand side or right, and Konate, instead of, you know, maybe trying to pass it back to the goalkeeper, he just slid or he just hoofed the ball into the stand, and he'd get all of our players back and he'd say, okay, now you just can go again. And it's just that, he's going to grow at Liverpool, he's going to gain the maturity, you're going to see it in his performances as well. We're still very early stages of his career and he's already a monster, and I cannot wait to see what he's going to be like in the next couple of years when we see the final product.
Yeah, he's fab. I'm seeing some great comments on Alexis Mac Allister in here, so
Superb.
good time to move on to him. Joseph Clark here says Mac Allister was class. Feel more confident about him in that role now, and that's kind of echoing most of the sentiments I'm seeing here, Dan.
Yep.
I mean, I can't think of many other games where he's been as good as that. So I've got, is it his best game? But I don't know, what do you think?
I said last night, I think that was his best game in Liverpool shirt. I started off by saying it might be his best game from a defensive standpoint in Liverpool shirt, but I kind of extended that as the conversation went on to saying it might be his best game, full stop. I thought he was brilliant. Honestly, I thought he was brilliant. I thought defensively, first half in particular, when Bournemouth did have their moments by which they got into the final third, Mac Allister was shutting them down time and time again, win the ball back, win his duels as well. I think he won 12 out of 17 duels, ground duels, which is incredible. 5 out of 6 aerial as well, which is just, they're proper defensive numbers in that position. Like, from someone who archetypally isn't a defensive midfielder, when we all signed him, we all thought he was going to play more of advanced, and clearly his shirt number would suggest he's going to play more of advanced. But honest to God, he was just brilliant. But then beyond that, the stuff you expect him to be really good at, he was really good at that as well. His use of the ball, his passing between the lines, starting off our attacks. It was a quality performance, it really was. And I've been really intrigued by Mac Allister and Konate actually in the same boat in the recent weeks, especially when we know we've got a few key players missing for whatever reason, various reasons. The way they're talking and the way they're acting on the pitch has just gone up a level or two. And me and Chris touched on this yesterday with the leadership thing. Mac Allister might have looked at that likewise with Konate and gone, we're missing a couple of our key cogs here, a couple of world-class players.
Robbo, Trent, big talkers, vice
Salah,
captain.
exactly. I need to step up a notch. And they've all done it, and Mac Allister falls into that category for me. And yesterday was just sublime.
There's just that thing sometimes in the Chris where, you know, the winter break, we talked about it before the match about we were as Liverpool fans, because Liverpool always seem to come back worse from those breaks, like a bit of an in-joke amongst Liverpool fans over the years. But we all kind of have this where, you know, like you learn something, and if you have a little break, it gets to sort of sink in and you get a chance to catch your breath and reassess where you are, and then you can come back, and often you come back better for it. Like, it tends to be more with young players, but just feel like Mac Allister, he was kind of thrown at the deep end. There's no way, I still maintain, there's no way he was bought for that role, or certainly not for like to have played as much as he has done. But he was doing an admirable job there, and I could see the idea behind playing him there, certainly. But then Endo kind of had his run in the team with Mac Allister being out and has gone, oh, and you've gone, okay, well, that starts to make a bit more sense. But I just like the fact that Mac Allister, that felt a bit like, yeah, he's obviously come back in from injury. He's had a little bit of time to assess where he's at, and it felt like it wasn't just him doing it in a completely different way, because that was a bit of the issue, I think, where Endo had his way and Mac Allister were very dissimilar, but actually they both played in recent performances like I'd expect a Liverpool number 6, and that is, it's anticipation, it's being in the right place to shut down the opposition trying to get out of their half, more than this notion of a crunching destroyer. Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. That's Fabinho at his best, wasn't it? 40 yards from goal, you can't get past me type of thing, and Mac Allister's certainly doing that now. And I think, when you do think about how long it took Fabinho particularly to nail down that spot, this is a defensive midfielder learning a slightly different defensive midfielder role. Now we're talking about an attacking midfielder learning a defensive midfielder role. It should take at least as long, probably a little bit longer than Fabinho took, and Fabinho took half a season. But Mac Allister now probably gone away, classroomed it a little bit while he's been out, come back, has a little bit more of an understanding of what the team needs. The team being in good form is helping. Everything just seems to be fitting in place, and I think Jürgen will be looking at it, and I've been saying this for a couple of months now. I think Jürgen will be looking at it, well, maybe it is the future. Maybe you do need someone a little bit more sort of robust in there for certain games. But when Liverpool are going to have 61% possession and he's going to contest and win 12 of 17 duels, you can't really do much more when you've got all the ball than that, can you? Those type of numbers. And even in the first half, when Liverpool did start slowly, Mac Allister didn't. He was the one player, I think, who came at it. And Jürgen referenced this in his post-match presser, didn't he? That, both teams, he thought Bournemouth were exceptional in the first few minutes considering they'd had a break. But he said we took longer to get back into it, but once we got back into it and we made our changes at half time, we really did take the game away from them.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really encouraging to see, particularly obviously with Endo not available at the moment. Right, Chloe Bloxham, let's do it. Diogo, he's back, and not that he ever sort of left, that dry spell, the year long without a goal, which keeps being referenced, is
he was injured for a large portion of that.
And it was summer as well. The summer oldies for a sizable portion of it, but it feels like a lifetime ago. That it feels like a different player. That was another one of those conversations around Mohamed Salah being your main sort of goal threat, and the caveat was we might have another 20 goal a season player in the side already, but you always feels at times like you can't bank on Jota because he has his own injury problems. But if he stays fit and we put him into games, he's going to score goals for Liverpool. He's going to score lots of goals.
He's a silly footballer. He just scores all different types of goals. You've got ones where he's dragged the ball 20 yards up the pitch and then shoots and it just passes the goalkeeper. You've got the one against...
So I love that, like, dragged it up the pitch, because that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like the ball is chained to our goal and he is literally like scooping it, scraping it forward towards goal at times.
It does feel like that, especially when, maybe against Arsenal, I referenced it was his intelligence away from home where, the first half I feel like we got outplayed by Arsenal, but in the second half it was his intelligence to know, I need to move over to the right side to help this triangle out here, and then when I can turn on the ball I'll drag us up, and I've got either Diaz on the right or Nunez on the left of me to feed. Once again he's superb. He scores all different types of goals. He's so intelligent. He sniffs out the danger everywhere. He knows his position where he needs to be for goals. We look at the one where he scuffs it and then volleys it back the net. His awareness to find that little pocket of space, because there's not a Bournemouth man around him in 5 yards. He's pulled off the defender knowing if someone's here we go again every time, knowing that if Brodley
what a gent.
Not going near that.
Dan's I don't know, but he knows that if Conor Bradley back post manages to get the ball back in, he's got a load of space around him, and like we've mentioned, if he can stay fit he'll score absolutely loads of goals and all different types of goals. And we know that even though he scores 2 in a 4-0 win, he loves a goal that's a winner, or that's making a 1-goal difference, a 2-goal difference, and completely killing the game off. He is deadly.
Dan, I'm going to come to you on this, but it's A_Naz here in the comments who's reminded me to come to you on this. Says, thoughts on Kara's comments about Jota's finishing. He thought they were a bit exaggerated. Jota was an incredible finisher, but surely not better than Suarez. And we had a bit of an off-camera conversation on Suarez always wins these. For us, for our generation, the best finisher at Liverpool was Robbie Fowler.
Yeah.
I think Torres is up there. I think Suarez is absolutely up there as well.
Yeah.
So I don't. It's an interesting point made by Carragher, and the more I think about it, the harder I struggle to disagree with it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think of this current crop, I would put Jota at the top of that list, and that's Mohamed Salah included, by the way. I just think Jota has this knack, this goal-scoring knack, and he's just born with it. And Chloe mentions there, just the ability to sort of almost just find yourself in space. You don't have to think about it. It's all of a sudden, oh, I'm here and the ball's with me and there's no defenders around. You're just born with that, and Jota has that. I think the debate is interesting. I think Torres one-on-one with goalkeepers, I'd put him top of that list. I think he was probably the best out of all of those. Michael Owen was probably close second, I'd say, in terms of that. I think Fowler wins this argument for me, though. We spoke about it off air, as you mentioned. Just the way in which he went about it as well, Robbie Fowler, was just joyous to watch. And he had all types of goals as well, much like Diogo Jota does. But I think Fowler is the best natural finisher this football club potentially ever seen. Mm-hmm. But Jota is definitely in amongst that conversation, and that's credit. We're talking about elite forwards here. That's credit in itself, because it's an incredible brand to be talking about. But yeah, as for Jota right now, clinical, deadly, ruthless. Love him.
He's just, Chris, he is. I keep using the expression, he's a killer. And I if nothing else, because we always have to do this, there always has to be like a ranking of X, Y, and Z, and then, you know, the problem is with it is that there's a lot of people's noses get put out of joint if you start putting Jota top of this. But I mean, ultimately, who cares? Because none of these are at the football club anymore anyway. But I just think it's great, because I agree with this notion. I got asked this the week about if any one of your current players are one-on-one with a knife-edge moment, end of a game, they've got a chance to finish it, who you're giving it to. And I think people outside of Liverpool would go, obviously Salah wouldn't it, obviously, but I think increasingly so, Liverpool fans would say Jota for that situation.
Yeah, I think they'd be right to as well, wouldn't they? You just know that it's that ability to go two-footed. The touch is always there. I wouldn't say he's anywhere near as clean a finisher as someone like a Robbie Fowler, but he has every finish in him still, and he surprises goalkeepers, like what you were talking about before, about just taking a shot early. You know what I mean? He has the ability to do that. I think he did that last night as well, to be fair, for one of them. And it's that sort of sets him apart.
Twice.
Well, yeah.
For one of them.
Yeah. And it's that ability, isn't it, to just find the back of the net when your team needs it. But he's a lot cleverer football, and he's more than just the finisher, is kind of what I want to say here. I think we lump him in because he's a great finisher, that's all he can do. It's not. He's so much more. His assist numbers are shite, and have been consistently shite the entire time he's been here. But he creates a lot of space for other people in his movements and stuff like that, and his runs on the ball. And I think Klopp said it last night in the press conference, didn't he? Putting Nunez and Diaz in their position 1A meant that Diogo went into the right wing. Well, Diogo turns up going into the right wing, and again, that's a clever, versatile footballer, and he's been that the entire time he's been here. He's never been the number one forward. We've had Bobby Firmino and Mane and Salah, but he's always still managed to get numbers, like no sub that I remember in the last 15 years.
Yeah, and even the thing doesn't even necessarily mean like off the bench. It's not even a super sub thing. This is it. It's like he was the fourth. He elevated what our offering was in terms of the old school front three, in that you could take any of them lads out of the 11 and put him in, and it wasn't like dropping Divock in, who was stylistically the complete opposite type of footballer to what we were looking for. He could just come into any of them and do a job.
And there's a knock-on effect of that, isn't there? It means that your front three become better, because they're a little bit more rested, so their numbers are actually better because Jota comes in and plays well.
Do you know what it is? Sorry, it's his decision making, Jota, at times as well, because he knows when to choose the pass when it might not be on necessarily for him. He's not selfish in any way, shape or form, but it's his choice of finish as well. I'm racking my brain trying to think of a moment where he got the choice of finish badly wrong. It just doesn't exist. He gets it right like 99 times out of 100. He's unbelievable in front of goal.
You know what he is as well, Chloe? He's a bit of a prick, and in the best possible way. You know, like, and so I see the comparisons: Fowler, Owen. I throw a little bit of Suarez in there, a bit of Bellamy in there. He just loves a scrap, and that's another thing. You know, you see that with Darwin Nunez, you see it with Luis Diaz, we see it with some of the great players that play for Liverpool over the years, the ones you take most to your heart. He's got the best song of any Liverpool player right now as well. I just think, yeah, he's great. It's just one of them. Maybe he pays the price for his versatility a touch. If he was half a yard faster, I think he'd be more guaranteed starting places across the front three. But he very rarely ever lets us down, and he scores a ton of goals while he's doing it as well.
Yeah, he does. He really embodies exactly what you want on that football pitch. He gives everything. He's so technically unbelievable. But also, like you said there, he gives a bit back. Think of Leicester when he literally gave it to their end after he scored the penalty that sent us through. He absolutely lives for it. He's not... If someone would have put one on Darwin Nunez or put one on Salah, Diogo Jota's going to put one on you next. Yeah. And that's what I really like about him. He doesn't mind getting a yellow card if necessary. We saw that against Spurs where he decided to get 2. And he just embodies what I want on the pitch. And like you said there, in the moments where we really need to depend on him, he's always there, literally banging in the goals in any way. And he's got every type of finish that you could possibly get. The one against Arsenal that was referenced where he goes, they give the ball to us, he goes around one defender, goes around Aaron Ramsdale and then puts it in the back of the net. Or you've got the other one the other day where he just side foots it from outside the area into the bottom corner. There's so many finishes for Diogo Jota to score with, and yeah, he's just superb.
Just great, yeah. Thoughts on the... Jamie Carragher comments then, where do you think Jota places in terms of Liverpool's all-time great finishes? Because, yeah, I agree with the sentiment. More games will help. Yeah. Because you'll be able to definitely sort of clear it up. But yeah, I think he's a brilliant finisher. On the old centre forwards and the goal scoring things, I think this will tie into the Darwin Nunez conversation a little bit. Just in terms of the overall output. Now, I was going to do all comps, but I thought your point on the Premier League stuff was interesting before, Chris. So what I've done is I've got Liverpool's goal scorers from the Premier League up so far. Top of the pile, of course, Mohamed Salah with 14. Darwin Nunez has got 7, Diogo Jota's got 7, and then there's a real sort of drop-off beneath that. Let me just quickly, I've got that as goals and assists. So yeah, you've got Cody Gakpo 3, Diaz 3 underneath that, which is... It's always funny when you go from all comps to just Premier League. It's quite, oh God, that feels well more disappointing. So just to contextualise it, let's have a little look at what Man City have got. So top of the pile for Man City, Erling Haaland 14, Julian Alvarez 6, and Bernardo Silva 6, and then they've got Phil Foden on 5, Roger on 4 underneath it. So now obviously City have played one game less in the Premier League than us at this point, but I thought that made me feel a bit better around the whole thing.
Well, and also if you look at Nunez's goals and assists, it's 13 and 13. I think I'm right in saying now, which is brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, 13 goals and assists
in 13
starts. Yeah.
That's exactly what you want. You know, he's
13.4 90s. So
yeah. I think it works out as something 1.02 is the actual figure for his per 90 stats for goals and assists, because I was looking at this morning because I'm sad. And so yeah, that's exactly what you need from a centre forward, isn't it? You know, he's having a goal or an assist every single time he starts a game for Liverpool in the Premier League. Boss.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Does anyone want to feel even better around Liverpool's goal scoring output? Should we have a look at Arsenal's?
Yeah, love that.
Top goal scorer in the Premier League, Bukayo Saka with 6.
Mm-hmm,
so where would he place? That would place him 4th on ours.
Yeah. Eddie Nketiah next with 5.
And 3 of them in one game.
Yeah, that's true.
Got a hat-trick in Sheffield United.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Great. Martin Odegaard, 3rd highest goal scorer with 4, along with Martinelli, Kai Havertz and Leandro Trossard. So look, they are actually spreading the goals out, but it is spread thin.
It's a veneer of goals.
Yeah, it's a plating at best of goals. Good, yeah. It's funny, but I always do feel much more encouraged when City are the benchmark, aren't they? And they're going to be the benchmark until proven otherwise. So if you can put down similar sort of numbers, and right now we've got actually a much better defensive record than them in the league. I think we're fractionally better. I'll get the league up.
Our goal difference is like 29, isn't it? I think.
Have you seen the difference
like
first half, second half?
Yeah.
Goal difference.
Yeah.
That's frightening.
Really?
Wow.
Frightening. Andrew Beasley.
30 we've scored, haven't we, to maybe 11 against.
We're
something
plus
like
8 in first halves of football, and we are plus. Anyone have a guess? Got the tweet here.
21.
Plus what? What have a guess? Number?
20.
18.
Plus 41 in second halves of football.
What?
Andrew Beasley. Liverpool's goal difference across all competitions.
All
this
comps,
season
okay, yeah.
is plus 8 in first halves and plus 41 in second.
Well,
so if we get better as the game goes on.
I'm doing a stat show on this tomorrow, right? And get on this one for a figure. I'll give you a little thing. In the last 15 minutes
Chris is going to give you a little.
in the last 15 minutes of games, we've scored 19 and conceded 5 between 76 and 90. I checked the top 6 leagues. Nobody scored more than 19 goals in the last 15 minutes across any league. Barcelona, none of them. Bayern Munich, Leverkusen, none of them. So late on in games, where Liverpool are making the money right now.
And yeah, Liverpool have actually scored 1 less goal than Man City.
Yeah,
But
47 to 48 it is.
But yeah, we've conceded 5 less, and that's the one. The goals conceded is the best metric when it comes to we've played 1 more game of football than them, so yes, they've got an opportunity to score more goals than us, but they can't concede less goals than us for playing more football. So yeah, very encouraging indeed.
I wouldn't put it past the PGMOL though.
Well, they'll try. Do you know what I mean? If they have some more off the books, unexplained meetings with the ministers or whatever, then who knows? A little bit on that on the Bias Football podcast this week. But yeah, we are going to be talking Salah's return and Fulham in the League Cup semi-final when we return from this very short break. So stay tuned.
The best there is, best there was, the best there will be.
Ooh, okay. Is he the 50th best signing of all time?
They'll tell you that they're the best player. He's the best player they ever played with.
Famous photos of him being carried off and stuff, and that was what he left everything on the pitch.
Shankly 2.0, and what happened, maybe we see today with what Klopp's trying to do with his 2.0.
How can he be this good? He's so much better than everybody else that's ever played the position.
Yeah, okay, fine. I mean,
He shouldn't be ahead of Nunez in the pecking order.
47,000 people wanted to pay him £1 a week to stay. That tells you all you need to know about what we thought of that guy at that moment in time.
He should be a lot higher.
Yeah, like world class. I think world class.
quite clearly, who am I to question the vote?
He was astonishing, you know, his ability, his agility was just second to none.
Oh, have I forgiven him yet?
He might be in my top 10. That's how much love I've got for him. I've done more for Liverpool than at the moment. Am I in this list? It is January, it is 2024, and we've got an incredible legend prize draw for you this month. Yes, it is Kostas Tsimikas signed Liverpool's shirt. He signed it. He was very kind to sign it. He's done an incredible job for Andy Robertson over the last few weeks, months. We can't wait to give this one away. If you want to get yourself in the hat to win that incredible prize, then you need to be a legend subscriber at redmenplus.com every single month without without fail, we will give away something incredible. This month, as you've seen, it's the Costas Timmercast shirt, signed by the man himself. So all you need to do is get into that legend tier and you're in with a chance. Do it now.
Yes. Welcome back to the podcast. Loads of boss stuff happening in and around both live events and, of course, on redmenplus.com. If you want to try everything that we're doing over there, do head to redmenplus.com and use the code CLOP, and you can get a whole month for absolutely free podcast videos, interviews, great shows, and loads more as well. And I don't know whether you've heard. You guys might have figured this out.
Bad is the word.
Liverpool,
Jesus.
Liverpool are fucking brilliant. So it's a pretty good time to have a good little butchers of what we're doing over on there. Right, let's crack on. Mohamed Salah, Dan Club has returned from the AFCON.
Yay.
Yay. He is injured. That is bad.
Why did Dan go to the AFCON?
Is that what it sounded like?
Yeah.
Did it? Yeah. Wouldn't mind. Yeah, little tan. No, the injury side of it is bad news. I can only look at this through a positive lens, though, and I know Klopp spoke more on it last night, and basically he said that because we haven't got any of our staff over there, and the Egypt medical staff are too busy looking after the players that are playing, it makes perfect sense for Salah to come back, and we can sort of oversee his rehab, oversee his recovery, and all that type of thing. But the chances of Egypt reaching, I think it's the semi-finals or the finals, been said now, that Salah will go back there. That feels slim to me, given they might not get out of the group stages. I'm not entirely sure that's going to be the case. So having Salah back at the AXA for the next week or two while he gets fit again, that feels like the best possible opportunity for us to have Salah back playing. Because let's just say he stayed over in the Ivory Coast, which is where AFCON is, and he got fit just after quarter-final stage, for argument's sake, and Egypt lost that game. Then you've got to get Salah back, which is all the travel and stuff like that. You've got to get him back to the AXA, back involved, and it just feels more complicated. If the sooner we get Salah back, the better, and the best chance of us doing that is having him back sooner. So I'm all for it, personally.
Also, you can lie to him and tell him it's really bad. And then you go, oh, wow, your body's amazing. It's a full recovery. You can start against Chelsea. Come on, Mo.
So they said that he's going to be missing. He would be missing for 2 games. Is that the injury they've got? Was the general consensus for Egypt? They play Cape Verde tonight. Cape Verde top of their group on 6 points. Egypt in second on 2. Ghana 1. Mozambique 1 underneath that. So yeah, qualification out of the group by no means assured. And I saw a bit of this in The Athletic, that there's a bit of like negative vibes towards him as well, because obviously they turned the game around after he went off injured the other week to pull a draw out. I just, the whole vibes, Chloe, I just want Salah away from it. And of course, look, we're not Egyptian, and our opinions on this would, I'm sure, be wildly different if we were, but I can't speak to that. All I know is Mo's still our best player. He's not getting any younger. He is definitely 100% appreciated for his efforts at Liverpool. And yeah, to Dan's point, the sooner he can get back on the pitch and available for us, the better, really. So whatever happens here, he's getting the best chance of that being back at the AXA.
Yeah, and I think it's the most likely outcome is, I think Egypt have got to play Cape Verde, who are top of the table. I think Ghana have the easier game against Mozambique. Did I get that one correct? Yeah. Great stun. So yeah, he might be out by tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night. So that just stops it all anyway. He would have came home back to the AXA.
Well, yeah, the last game of the group is at 8 o'clock tonight. So, exactly. That's what I mean. He's probably at home now, tucked up, chill, watching the game. Be watching the game on the telly, doubtless cheering his mates on. Because, look, I mean, Chloe, let's just move this on a touch. The talk is, as Dan kind of alluded, that he'll be allowed to go back if they get to the semis or the final or whatever. How do you feel about that?
I'd rather he didn't. I don't like international footy, and I don't care about AFCON because it's not my teams. I care about Liverpool Football Club. That is my team, and my team without Mo Salah is a lot different to the team that has the clinical Mo Salah, the Mo Salah who's put Liverpool on his back ever since he joined us. So time without him, no matter if it's just 1 or 2 games. And bear in mind, there are games against Chelsea and Arsenal coming up. We thought Bournemouth was a massive game because it was a potential banana skin. Those are 2 ridiculously hard games, even if one is at home. And I just want to try and get him better before we do anything else, because to me the fact that he has came home makes me feel like it's a little bit worse or a little bit more serious. I don't know why I feel that, because at first it might just be a hamstring strain, you know, he'll sit 2 games out and then he'll be back, but I feel like it might be a little bit more serious for him to come back here to then potentially, because if they've got all the chance of going through, I don't know what
I think it comes down to the facilities, and I think Egypt's best case scenario, I think this is a win-win, to be honest with you. I think Liverpool are doing it right. They know how important it is to Mo Salah and to his country that he goes and is able to play. Liverpool, I think, will give him Egypt a better chance of having Mo Salah if they continue to progress, because I think he'll be better looked after here because the facilities are just poles apart. Obviously, you know, our facilities will be better than Egypt's headquarters facilities. Never mind Egypt in the Ivory Coast facilities. Yeah. That's just completely different, isn't it? We're doing the right thing by our player because we know how important it is for him. We'll let him go back there, but also we're looking at it thinking, the likelihood is they get knocked out before they need him, and it's better for us. And we've done the right thing as well. We've placated Mo in that regard. Yeah. This is just better for us. Yeah.
If they do reach it, Mo's obviously going to go. And Liverpool aren't going to step in the way. Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather him not, don't get me wrong, but...
We knew that when he went the first time, didn't we? This is just potentially an added bonus, provided he can get fit in time for these games we're talking about.
Yeah, because this is the thing. I want Mo Salah I do want Mo Salah to succeed. He's going to be one of the legends of the game when he's done. And, I didn't really touched upon this the other week, but it's something that's been ticking around the back of my head of how mad it is that you can't be classed as the greatest footballer of all time unless you happen to be born for certain countries, because there's a greater chance of you winning the big honours. The odds of Egypt winning the World Cup is just so much slimmer. So can Mo Salah be classed on it? Well, all he can do is win the AFCON, you know what I mean? And which obviously the Euros equivalent, I guess, for us. And they can have a good go in the World Cup, but there's a limitation on what you can achieve. So you want them to have those things, because I want his standing to be great in the game. He's ours. I love him, and I want him to be held in that sort of esteem. But also I have to countenance that with, I just want Liverpool to be the best they possibly can be, and echo Chloe's sentiments about I've just got no great love for international football. So there is a cool story of he gets fit and Egypt get through to a semis and finals, and then he comes back into the fold and gets them in there. That would, what a movie worthy sort of story that would be. But that's the alternative is either they get knocked out and then he comes back to fitness and plays for us, possibly in a slightly better situation than otherwise. Because I can't see that if he gets fit, he's not going to play. If Egypt continues to progress, he's not going to be allowed to play for us in the interim period between then and then anyway. So...
No.
This goes back to the Matip thing with the Cameroon stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, they wouldn't let him play, would they, for the whole month, essentially, yeah. But, Salah won't play for Liverpool until Egypt are out of that tournament. Until he's fit and Egypt are out of that tournament, I'm certain of it. And that's why the Chelsea game feels like a non-starter, regardless. Fitness probably, essentially. But the Arsenal game is the one I've kind of got half an eye on, thinking maybe the stars might align, or we might have Mohamed Salah back for that.
Also, he obviously wants to go there, and we can all understand that. That's not the part that we don't get. We totally understand playing for your national team and really being their star man and their captain and wanting to win something for them. Of course, we totally get that. It's just a case of I don't have that kind of sentiment with any team aside from Liverpool. That is my Liverpool. I don't have that with international football, so it is just Liverpool. So when it's in the middle of a season, if it was in, July, absolutely stunned. You know what? I might take a trip over there and support them all the more. But when it's in the middle of a season and you're top of the table, it just feels like, we need him back.
Yeah. The World Cup, the World Cup is one of the few exceptions where I enjoyed it from as a kid and appreciating international football at its pinnacle. But also, it was in the middle of that last season, and it could eat a shit as a result. There's a
difference from when we grew up watching it, though, isn't it? Now you see the best players in the world every week if you want to. You can watch them. You know, you just couldn't watch them anywhere back then, could you?
Seen him at Liverpool now.
Yeah, you see them at Liverpool. You see them in the Champions League. You know, you just see that you can watch their leagues if you want. There wasn't any of that. That's why the World Cup was so special.
Yeah, Toto Scalacci.
Now you look at it, and you
Miller.
think, the footy in the World Cup quite often is shite. Yeah. It's not as good as leagues. It's just not.
Yeah, no, it isn't. Even the best international teams are nowhere near as good as the best.
They get whooped.
The best team. Yeah,
They also don't have the same amount of time with those, like that team. With Liverpool, you're with us with 9-10 months, and you're drilled to know everything, every routine in and out. You go to the national team, it's 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there.
It's why I've always had a degree of sympathy with the Gareth Southgate Trent stuff. Ultimately, it's because he's not as good a manager as Klopp, shock, and they don't have anywhere near as much training time to develop complex tactical procedures or whatever.
Set pieces though. That's what they can work on, and they do. England have utilised them.
Oh, absolutely. And it's why, it's like that thing. If you're ever, we've got there's a collective understanding in this country of people who can play. Everyone can play 4-4-2 in this country. I don't know whether you care whether you ever play football or in your life or not. You possess the skill sets, like the ability to use certain appliances and opposable thumbs. And playing in a 4-4-2, everyone intrinsically understands it. So if you throw 11 people together and you've got to play a football match, you just play 4-4-2. It's fine, and that's basically your international football is an elevated version of that. Effectively, keep it as simple as possible because you haven't got as much time. Anyway, we digress. Let's get back to proper football. Liverpool are in the semi-final of the EFL Cup. Of course, they are. They're one leg through that. They carry a 2-1 lead to Craven Cottage on Wednesday. I'm really excited about this, Chris. It's great that we got to park the Premier League, top of the table, 5 points clear of Manchester City.
Say it again, Paul.
And 5 points clear of Manchester City.
It sounds so good.
There's 2 cup games this week, and by the time the Premier League resumes, we're still going to be top of the league. There's a chance that we'll have a final to look forward to at Wembley and a fifth round tie, whatever that looks like in the FA Cup.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? Obviously, is it Chelsea next game in the league as well? So then we go to Chelsea and Arsenal. So we get a little bit of rotation, hopefully, at the weekend, because I think we're at the limits of what our squad can probably handle, give or take maybe a Gakpo and a Gravenberch at the moment, but everyone else is sort of playing because they deserve to, but also that there's not many options. So yeah, I feel like we're going to go full strength for the game midweek and then go a little bit weaker, but it's just nice to go and have a cup semi-final, isn't it? And it's all part and parcel of just a squad building sort of exercise, this, isn't it? I mean, it's one thing to have been told what it's like by maybe Virgil van Dijk and that to win a Premier League and winning a trophy at Liverpool Football Club. I'm sure Szoboszlai would like to see it. It's obviously all part of playing in front of the Anfield crowd and all that type of stuff, but then to go and get a cup final in front of them and we're just ticking these things off, aren't we? Like in terms of a young side as well.
Well, we said this in previous years. We're trying to switch the narrative from calling it the quadruple season to the cup double season because it's important to remember that we won a cup double that season. Some seasons, Chloe, are about winning leagues and winning European Cups, the big headline trophies, the ones that cause 1 million people to descend upon the city. But sometimes just get yourself some silverware and then, you get to build up a body of work. Players like Salah and Trent and Van Dijk and Alisson, Jurgen Klopp as the manager, building up this sort of cabinet full of silverware is an important thing. It's also, in addition to that whole, it breeds winning in the young players as well. So we have to remember, as much as Liverpool are top of the league and we're going well in the Europa League, they would be considered the 2 premier competitions of this season. Like the cup double winning season, we harboured bigger ambitions, but sometimes they're out of your control. If you can go and get a piece of silverware won, go and get a piece of silverware won. Yeah,
it takes the stress off those who are coming in to Liverpool and who are new additions, because they're desperate to win something with Liverpool, and you're desperate to. I mean, Szoboszlai took the number 8. Number 8, Steven Gerrard. Naby Keita couldn't live up to that. He was handed the shirt by Steven Gerrard. Szoboszlai will want to win something with Liverpool. He's got even more, kind of reputation based on the fact of the number of shirts he's taken as well. So just get that kind of winning feeling and put it to one side. You know what it's like, you know what it's going to be, and it's going to make you go on for more. Exactly. And also, moments like that, we missed out on bigger trophies that season, but it shows the real solidarity and exactly what the club's all about. You go and put everything on the line and give us everything, and no matter the outcome, you'll see all of our fans get around you and support you, and that's what we did. It wasn't what we wanted ultimately, but we got 2 pieces of silverware, and still the city centre was littered with a sea of red. And those players, after feeling the deflation of losing a Premier League by 1 point and then a Champions League trophy because Courtois had an unbelievable game of footy, like, to go from that to instantly being like, oh my God, these people recognise that I've just put my body on the line for the last year to try and get them there. And it just, you want that feeling. We talk about the family, kind of how it feels like you're in a family and you want to understand the fans and the fans want to understand you. This is how you do it. You win, you know, maybe the little trophies along the way, and you build it up and build it up, and you create a bond with the fans that becomes inseparable, and you become one of them. And that is really what you need to do, and winning does breed winning as well. So you need to set that mentality.
Yeah, and box European football for next season as well, which would be nice.
Well, there's another thing to this. Sorry, Dan, but about the trophies thing and the Carabao Cup and stuff. I think it's getting harder and harder to win trophies. It is, because there are teams out there that don't play by the rules, and we shouldn't be laughing at any or sniffing at any trophy. Like the Carabao Cup, like, how many times have City, we were about 4 or 5 years on the bounce, didn't we?
Stupid,
like it's really hard to sort of even win that trophy nowadays.
They caught us up, didn't they?
And then
previous prize the last time we won it, and that took us back as the overall.
Yeah, we're the ones now. We're
going for La Decima.
For me as well, I mean, ultimately Jurgen Klopp deserves more trophies to show for his time at Liverpool Football Club and the job he's done, but kind of what Chris was saying there as well, I was going to say, like, I grew up and I just would have bitten someone's arm off to be competitive at times as a Liverpool fan, so I don't think we can be picky with the trophies ultimately. And listen, we'd all love to win the big prizes year in, year out, of course we would, but a Carabao Cup and FA Cup is not to be sniffed at, whether it be that year we're talking about or this year. I think just racking up trophies is a positive, regardless of what they look like, quite frankly, because as you say, you know, it gets that, what it feels like to win a trophy for Liverpool Football Club under the belt nice and early. And Liverpool 2.0, nobody expected us to be where we are right now. We're way ahead of schedule. If we can add 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 trophies, then remarkable.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. And it's, you know, said before, the League Cup is not a trophy. I think that you parade on its own. You just don't. Yeah. But you know, we saw that we often take like 2 buzzwords with players on these tours. I've 1 per coach. If you win 2 trophies, get this 1 boxed. And look, you're right. We are a bit sniffy at these competitions sometimes. We do with the Europa League too. We've all been guilty of that in the past. But when you're in it, it's football matches. I don't differentiate between. How I watch football is it's Liverpool's lads playing a bunch of other people in football shirts. I very rarely care who we're playing or what it is. They're just shapes in the way of my lads. So, you know, just seeing us go and win games, I honestly could not give a flying fuck. I went to watch the first cup final. I went to on my own back, 17, 2001. I got a coach on my own with like a supporter coach on my Todd, and went and watched us beat Birmingham in the League Cup final at Cardiff, and it was unbelievable. It was one of the best days of me in my entire life. Just absolutely amazing. One of my early memories, mid-90s, obviously, is the Steve McManaman final. We'd be Bolton in that one. With Cardiff in 2012. Who cares? You know, and you'll never take those memories away from me. I'm going and watching those games, and even the Chelsea one was hard. It was hard work a couple of years ago, but it led to one of the funniest penalty shootouts I've seen in my entire life. So.
Also, it's for a lot of the players, obviously the likes of Trent, Virgil, they've been there in finals, but there are players who don't know what it's like to be in a final for Liverpool Football Club. It's a different type of pressure because you're supposed to win that game and the world is betting on you to win that game. So it is a different kind of pressure. So to get to any final, you know, whether we win or lose, it's good experience for the lads out there. But it is also different to George just playing one kiss after we beat Newcastle. You play one kiss after you win a final. Like the one where Costa slots the penalty, their end to win it. They're some of the best scenes I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
And it was an FA Cup. It was flares everywhere, one kiss bouncing off. And it was just song after song after song. Virgil coming over and dancing and singing with us. They're the scenes that, as players, they don't get to witness just every other game at Anfield. They're the special moments, the moments that you box away.
Yeah.
So to just experience that is totally different. You don't necessarily need the parade, you just need them moments as well.
Unless Fulham knock us out, and then it can be a Mickey
Yeah.
Mouse Cup.
Well,
Let's talk
obviously.
selection.
We've got 9 of them.
Selection then, Dan. Do you think the FA Cup game, we know it's Norwich now, we're going to be playing at the weekend, it's a championship team, so obviously it's not going to be, in theory, the toughest of tests, but where's your take on this? Does this mean you get to go stronger for this one, knowing you can go weaker at the weekend, or is it kind of much of a muchness?
No, I think you can go slightly stronger in midweek, if I'm being really honest. And that, listen, we haven't got a plethora of options to choose from, unless you went for some of these kids that we're talking about, your Bobby Clarks this world. But I think they are more likely to be saved for the weekend. I think the likes of Clark, Gordon, perhaps even McConnell and Owen Beck might come in for that game against Norwich. Whereas I think the midweek one, the Fulham, is more Joe Gomez, it's more Konate, it's more Van Dijk, etc., etc. Kelleher potentially probably will play midweek. He could even have a shout for the weekend as well, I would say. Quanta's more likely to be safe in Norwich, but I think Liverpool go as strong as possible. There's obviously question marks about Curtis Jones. He felt something as he came off yesterday. That probably means Gravenberch comes in, I would say. And I think the only other one, really, with a shout of coming in, and it's more, this is a rotation and more of a squad management thing as opposed to a wholesale changes thing. It's Cody Gakpo.
Yes.
He comes into the starting lineup in the front three, I would say. Outside of that, no changes.
Well, he
really.
holds a record at the moment, doesn't he, for the most consecutive
4
rounds
yeah.
scored in. Like the last player to come close to that, I think, was Ian Rush in the 80s. So it, you'd imagine.
Minamino didn't get close to it.
Well, yeah, I don't know
He
how
gave
close
it
he
a good
came to it,
go.
but that was the only person who'd done that was Ian Rush. And I
Wow.
think Kenny Dalglish as well.
Wow.
The other thing I'd say on this fixture, on Norwich, is that it's at home, so you can put the big lads on the bench if you really want to. It's not like we're having to travel anywhere and you're going all the way down to Norwich. No, you're at home, so you can put the big names on the bench and put out a rotated side against that Norwich side. You've also got the Anfield atmosphere that if you do need us, we're there to help you out with that. So I am full strength on Fulham. That is my priority. That is the most important part. This is to get to a final, and then when Norwich comes, I'll sort that out on the day.
I think we'll just naturally go, because you can't not. It's only a goal. There's only a goal in it at the moment. You're away from home against the Premier League team. We'll put best possible side out, and that Gakpo can be that. It doesn't really matter to me, you know. I know Darwin's got a bit more of a return, but Gakpo's been the main man in this competition so far, so fine. But what's quite interesting, Chris, is there was talk that a number of the lads who've been out actually could be back for this game, but it's an interesting situation where we're going, oh yeah, all the kids for Norwich, but if they're not ready, you might find that we go full strength for this game, but the weekend game.
Better players.
Well, you might be able to play Trent, Robertson, Sobersline might actually be back for that game, so you end up with a strong side just by the way that the sort of injuries have fallen.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, for me, I'd be playing the same side, bar Jones for Gravenberch, Wednesday. I'd be looking at bringing your Gakpos in for the weekend's game, Beck, Clark, Kai Gordon probably on the right hand side, and I like the way it falls in that Chelsea's midweek, and then we've got a midweek against Fulham, so it's a nice full week for the first team, as it were, to get themselves ready for Chelsea, and it's minutes for Trent and stuff like that at the weekend. It might not be 60 minutes, it might be 20-30 minutes or something for me, more likely, but that actually fits into if the kids are coming off, they get some minutes under the belt, the first teams get some minutes under the belt, and then it's all hands to the deck for Chelsea and then Arsenal, isn't it? So yeah, it's falling okay, I think, at the moment, and then if we can get Trent, Robbo and Sobbo back, that'd be wicked.
Yeah, absolutely. Fingers crossed they can just get it across the line. Sounds stupid to say, really, but things are just ticking along really nice. I agree with that little run between now and the Chelsea game. You want to just be. You could be energised from how you've managed to handle these games, potentially progressing in both competitions, and in a world where some of your big hitters are back and available for you all of a sudden. Like there's a mad world where that Chelsea game, like Salah could be back for that. Like legitimately could theoretically, I think. Is that right? So
Yeah.
that slightly too
I think
soon?
fitness-related, that's too soon. Regardless of Egypt, I think that's a little bit too soon.
Just get some Horspool Centre on there. It'll be absolutely fine. Works for Man City.
But to the point, available and potentially with some minutes under the belt if they've all managed half an hour, 25 minutes against Norwich, which is the ideal scenario. Sports scientists and all that palaver will tell you if they can get 20 minutes, half an hour against Norwich, get some match minutes into their legs, absolutely perfect.
Boss. Okay, cool. We're going to be picking up the conversation over on the Bias Football podcast over on redmenplus.com, which if you use the Klopp code, easy for me to say, you can get it free, as well as that show for the rest of the month and all the other stuff over on there. We're going to be having a look at the January transfer window and why it's been a bit of a sort of failure to launch so far. Why haven't there been the big moves across the Premier League? A little bit of a chat around the profit and sustainability rules as well, how that might be impacting things. I'll look at the future of Troy Deeney after his wild comments last week and a few other bits.
He got our bell end of the week last week.
He did indeed.
And now he's sacked.
Yeah, come and see us over there on redmenplus.com. Thank you so much for watching, for liking, for sharing, for subscribing, and for leaving your 5-star reviews on podcast and apps. You're the best. And we'll see you all soon. Ta. Hey, thank you so much for checking out the content today. If you want to get your name in and amongst these wonderful people, then head to redmenplus.com. Join as a Legend tier subscriber. You're going to get free merchandise codes. You're going to get in our Discord, and you're going to get your name at the end of YouTube videos. Yes, redmenplus.com, Legend tier state.